Hello and welcome back. Sorry for the delay there. We have a case study now from Airbus, the European aerospace and aircraft manufacturer. I would like to welcome back Patrick Castagnino, who is Head of Connectivity and Strategy Innovation for Digital Aviation Airbus. Patrick is going to talk about scaling private networks for manufacturing in Europe. We have just 15 minutes, a little bit less, so I will give the floor to Patrick and join in again at the end for questions. Patrick, it's all yours.
Thank you. So it's a pleasure to be with you today and to present the manufacturing from an Airbus point of view, from an industrial point of view. So I have a lot of, I would say, slides, but it's more use cases. So it's very, very interesting way of development from an Airbus point of view. So let me show the presentation first in a few seconds, please, and I will start the slides. So just as an introduction, Airbus is involved in different domains. I am working in the aircraft activities with manufacturing. So the connectivity is everywhere within the company. So that means the aircraft point of view with the skywise and the connectivity from the aircraft to the ground, from the crew, from the cabin, and for different solutions for maintenance and automation is the connectivities as well developed for helicopters with more or less the same solutions, but as well for monitoring and maintenance, and the new connectivity for drones and VTOLs, for command and controls, autonomous, and maintenance as well. So just to highlight that the connectivity is everywhere in the aviation domain. So today the meeting and the presentation is around the manufacturing. So I will highlight the different sectors of Airbus. That means backbone to innovations. So I will detail the manufacturing and the MRO's part of view today, but keep in mind that we are involved in the aircraft and satellites, the airport connectivity from the aircraft to the ground, and as well the new cities and UM and UTM activities. I will highlight the private network. So Airbus is deploying the private network now. We started with a proof of concept 4 years ago. With 4G and for multiple reasons. First of all, to combine Wi-Fi and cellular, because in our industry, the Wi-Fi is not enough powerful and is not at the right level of performance in use and go. So that means only the cellular network can operate inside the aircraft. I can explain later on. And as well to connect everywhere and any worker, I would say, in the manufacturing in multiple campus. So I will introduce in this presentation various elements. First of all, private in multiple campus, and as well some use cases, very important industrial use cases for the manufacturing point of view. I will introduce as well why we developed private. Mainly for the security and quality of service compared to Wi-Fi, and as well security and mission critical inside our campus is very, very important. Clearly the challenge. So 4G pilot in France, starting 5 years ago to 4 years. We were in POC mode during the last 2 or 3 years. It's very, very long period, I would say, and challenging period because it was a long time to define what will be the use case in all our plans. So I will introduce different use cases. Before starting the 5G, we defined and we validated our spectrum. This is the main challenge, regulation and spectrum, in France and in Germany mainly. So we validated and we are the owner of a dedicated spectrum in France and in Germany as well. So it's clearly the band 38 and band 43 in France and in Germany. Very main challenge as well based on this spectrum, it is the security requirement from an Airbus point of view. The data should be stored within our campus without external connectivity. That's one of the main reasons of selecting private network. We have one dual core introduced, and we maintain and developed as well a local breakout in Germany. And that's why we can manage in a centralized way the full European campus. So we started with France and Germany, and we will extend it to Spain and UK in a couple of, I would say, months from now. The main use cases, clearly, manufacturing, logistics, remote aircraft quality inspection, flight tests, and a lot of, I would say, aviation use cases like flight test instrumentation. I will come back on that. The next step, deployment of 5G NSA. We are in pilot in France, and it is already deployed in Germany. That's why we have two activities, 4G in France and 5G in Germany, already in operation, I would say. And the full deployment phase in campus is starting from now. That means we will deploy antennas in the full campus, France, I will explain, and as well in Germany. To come back on primary use cases. So you can see on the map the different Airbus sites. So it's not very easy because we don't have the same spectrum by countries. So it was a very big challenge today to harmonize our core network. So we started with Toulouse and Hamburg, and we will extend it, as mentioned before, to all the sites over Europe. So that's one of the main reasons we selected the private network instead of a telco. A telco network based on the European sites are not able to deploy this kind of, I would say, specific private network in all our campus. That's the main reason with the digital transformation, we started this operation. Many use cases, clearly. Logistics between sites, called supply chain 4.0, different worldwide roaming agreement as well. Clearly today we have AGV and the collaborative robotics in every kind of sites. We have the shop floor with the digital mockup, with the downlink speed in that case. Remote inspection for aircraft, very, very big activity. And one of the main one, I would say, it is massive aircraft data offloading from flight tests. That means we have flight tests in Toulouse and Germany. One of the main use cases representing 95% of the volume is from the aircraft to the ground. All the data developed during the flight test are flooded after on ground. And we use for that the 4G and the 5G performance. It was done before by hard disk. So you can understand that this new process is very, very effective for us. And the volume of data today is around 28 gigabytes per flight. That means if we have more than 2 or 3 flights per week, we upload more than 100 gigabytes during the week. So it's one of the main reasons for the local private network avoiding telcos and high volume and price of telcos. Come back on the sites. Just so deployment in Toulouse, we have different sites. So we have a dual core in Blagnac, called Blagnac. That means the main site of Airbus in Toulouse. And we cover in Toulouse 3 different sites. We have as well 3 other sites in France called Elancourt in Paris, Airbus Defense and Space. We have Saint-Éloi, that means engine, and Saint-Nazaire. So with the same infrastructure, we cover 7 sites in Toulouse. At the same time, we cover the equivalent sites in Germany. That means Hamburg and 7 other sites in Germany. We developed already the core in Toulouse, dual core, 4G, 5G, NSA. And I will explain later on that we will develop as well the 5G SA, I will say starting next year. Interesting question, I will say. Why we invest in 4G, 5G instead of Wi-Fi? We are not in a way to opposite Wi-Fi and 4G, 5G. We have specific static configuration for the Wi-Fi. And depending on the use cases, we use Wi-Fi in static mode or we use 4G, 5G in other use cases. When we need full connectivity and roaming in the across the site, clearly the use case is using 4G, 5G. When it is a static machine or a static environment, the Wi-Fi is very well updated. I will say today we are deploying still Wi-Fi 6, and we are using in combination 4G, 5G. So we use the best technology according to our needs. So that means the 4G, 5G today is developed and deployed to define a continuity of service depending on the use case. Another way as well, deploying 4G, 5G is one key topics for the mission critical communication as well. So today, for the surveillance of the site and the campus, we use a specific part of our spectrum to deploy the mission critical with the Airbus solution called ACNet. This is one of the main reasons. The second main reason, as already explained, is offload of data for flight test. This is represent 95% of the volume. Anyway, we have different use cases, and I will explain. The volume is not the same; it's more considered as AOT, and in that case, the 4G, 5G is well adapted. Why I'm still working with 4G? Because the 4G today is fully adapted to 95% of our needs, and the 5G today we are starting 5G for the massive data flow from the aircraft. Couple of use cases quickly. So connected logistics, as mentioned, PMR with mission critical, automated guided vehicles, and all the collaborative robotics inside the manufacturing. Shop floor, effectively, radio access, mixed reality, and so on, and the massive data. All those use cases have been developed during the last 5 years. This is the main use cases, and we are adding every month new use cases. We are still in pilot in France, so you can see the spectrum 2.6 with a dedicated spectrum, and 3.7, 3.8 in Germany. We will introduce soon as well the millimeter wave 26 to be combined, I would say, for flight test and uploading. This new technology as well will be used for PAX entertainment downloading from the ground to the aircraft for passengers as well. So it's one of the new techno to be added as well for remote passengers and logistic and aircraft inspection. Maybe could be interesting for you. This is a private 4G. We will launch as well the same performance and test performance for the 5G quite soon, but this is typically the kind of connectivity performance we have measured in our hangar. When it is mentioned location A50, it is a huge hangar. That means 40 meters high, 150 meters length, square length more or less. So it's a very, very huge hangar. And inside this hangar, we are more or less 10 aircraft. So this is typically the measure we have today. So based on what we can, I will say, can be evaluated, it's quite interesting to see that the private 4G is large better than Wi-Fi today. Why? Because the Wi-Fi in huge hangar is not one of the best technology for multiple reasons. It's metallic hangar, so the reflection for the Wi-Fi is not very good. And another way as well, the aircraft is considered as Faraday cage. That means when the workers are working, I would say, inside the aircraft, they cannot receive the Wi-Fi. Why? Patrick, they can use the 4G.
Patrick, I'm just gonna step in, and you're gonna hate me, but I think we're gonna have to wrap up, I'm afraid. And perhaps what we can do is we were a little bit late starting, we're a little bit late finishing, but Patrick, perhaps what we can do is any questions that have come in on the platform, we can come back to also on the platform and find a way around that. And Patrick, I will follow up with you as well to try and get this information across. But look, Patrick, I'm gonna call a halt to it there. Thank you so much for your time. That was the intro we needed, really. And a new session is starting just now on the other side about the gnarly issue of spectrum availability for private networks. and Prakash Sangam is handling that session. So if you go back to the agenda page and load up the Spectrum session that is starting now, you will meet the team there. For now, from me, thank you, and Patrick, we really appreciate your time. So thank you very much.